Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Brandon from Audio Addiction. I hope, as I mentioned in the Instagram story, was a little late, recorded a interview, so that's what happened. But it is what it is. Sometimes those things happen. But besides the point, very excited to get into this album. I've been listening to all of the singles a ton at when I'm going to hit the gym, and it's cool that they're all stacked up together. So I'm very curious on how this album's gonna pan out. It's 14 songs of pure just angst, and I'm really excited to get into this one. This one I've been anticipating very similarly to the Invent Animate album, which I did a live review very similar to this one. So if you want to go check that one out, please go do so. And also massive shout outs to all of the homies that have been blowing that video up. Much love. But anyway, we're going to get into Gideon's new album, More Power, More Pain. I have done a reaction video to all three of the singles that are currently out now. Obviously, I also know the album's out now as well, too. But the reactions I did was Too Much Is Never Enough, More Power, More Pain, and then Take Off. And that was with my good homie Elijah of the band Bouquet. Go check them out as well. But yeah, very excited to delve into this, so I don't want to spare any expense to all of you, so appreciate you spending the time. But this is 14 tracks, so we already got to get into it right away. But this first song is going to be called Hell of a Man. I remember watching the last stream, and the volume was just like a smidge bit too loud, so let me know how the volume level is if you are in the live chat. But yeah, excited to give this one a listen, so let's give a listen to Hell for a Man right now.
You were raised to be sort of a reincarnation of your father, and you were put on stage to sing his songs.
Sure, yeah.
What did that do to you mentally?
I've got some pictures that I was looking at a while ago, and of course I was a little boy. 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to put on those boots, and I wanted that hat, and I wanted everything. Just like...
I wish I wore a cowboy
like
hat.
See?
I should have.
But
Hindsight's
in the
2020.
late teens and early 20s, I didn't want to do that because I wasn't a little boy anymore. And if I did something different, boy, was that bad. When I started doing things I wanted to do, and that's when it got kind of rough.
All right. Well, that one's kind of an intro. I feel like that's really not a non-song, but I will say as a point to some of the intro songs and the way that they kind of integrate them within the album, I really do like that. I think that's what makes some of these songs more interesting or a little bit more appealing to me. So I feel like while there isn't any sort of musicality to talk about, I do like the fact that again, these sort of like little antidotes are in there. It's just nice, I think it just shows that their attention to detail. So can't complain. But this is the first actual song musically, I would hope. The song is 4 minutes long, so we're gonna get into it. But this song is called Locked Out of Heaven. So let's give this bad boy a spin.
Just to play the game.
is sick. I love it. That chorus is so cool. So good.
My thing and make my music. So I'm not gonna run around out there and bust my butt to be cussed and treated bad and all that stuff. No, I ain't gonna do that. It was fun for a boy, but it was hell for a man.
God. Man, I don't know, man. Like, there's something about Gideon that just, like, strikes that, like, it's hard to explain. I've been following this band for quite a while, so I do feel like, for me, it's a band that I've always appreciated because no matter what they've kind of done as an artist or as a group, I feel like they always keep true to their identity as a band. You could hear, I would say in this song specifically, you could hear a lot of influences from maybe like older albums, especially with that breakdown. More specifically, that first breakdown of the song felt very like Cost or like Milestone-esque. And then for them to get more into like their new sound, I feel like they really kind of tried to add a lot of like new metal influence into their music. More specifically, I feel like Takeoff had like a very like new metal kind of vibe to it. But I also feel like in that chorus, I thought that was really interesting. It had this real kind of like I guess it would be kind of considered similar to like the My Ticket Home, like especially Strangers Only, where they got into more of this like I guess like grungy sort of sound. I appreciate that they're kind of incorporating that more. It almost has like, especially that chorus part, has almost like a shoegazy sort of feel a little bit, which I like. I think they're definitely breaking out a little bit more. I'm almost positive, if my memory serves me correct, I'm pretty sure that Tyler, their guitar player, does a lot of the clean vocals when they're doing stuff live. I'd imagine very similarly he's doing some of that stuff, on the album. But yeah, I think this one had like a nice mix of heaviness throughout the entire album, the stuff that I know and love when I think of Gideon. But then also at the same point, I think there was a nice variation to what they do, in the sense that like you have some of those really nice breakdowns, but I think it's also like juxtaposed with those really like ethereal, like again that sort of grungy sort of like reverb dressed chorus. And that really is the standout of this song specifically, because everybody knows Gideon's just like one of those great kind of like metalcore hardcore sort of crossover bands. And I feel like this is a very good indicator of the things that, if you liked some of their previous stuff, I would say maybe anything prior to their last album, then there's probably a pretty good chance you're gonna like this, because there is that sort of nod to old, but also keeping fresh and doing something different. So really enjoyed this one. I think this one is gonna be one that will grow on me a little bit more. I thought the breakdown absolutely hit, but that chorus was interesting at first, but I have a strong feeling that I'm actually gonna wind up growing to love it a lot more as the songs go on. But yeah, this one was a good opener. I think it gives you a good gauge of how the rest of the album's gonna kind of play out for the most part. And especially with the singles being released, I think that also paints a pretty interesting picture of how the rest of this album is going to sound as well. But yeah, definitely enjoyed this one a ton, and was just like heavy enough, and also just like really kind of eerily dissonant, like eerie sort of vibes, especially in that sort of chorus portion of the song. But we are going to move it on to the next track. This one is called Push It Back. Very excited to get into this one, so let's give this one a listen. Ooh, okay. Ooh, that's so sick.
What else can I do?
Ooh.
Some people ain't no damn good. You can't love them, you can't touch them. You can fucking try even if you do. Break them before they break you. In a fight to the death, it's every man for himself. There will be bloodshed.
Ooh.
There will be bloodshed. Endless threats, no safety nets. So when you get pushed, motherfucker, push back. Broken, bleeding within the hourglass.
This riff goes hard.
Push back until the walls collapse.
This is
I wanna
interesting.
break everything around me. I wanna break everything. I wanna break everything around me. 'Cause everything wanna break me. There will be bloodshed. There will be bloodshed. Endless threats, no safety nets. So when the world pushes you, push it back.
Oh, I'm waiting.
Push it. Push it back.
God.
It'd be real hard to get along with, I guarantee it. But, like Grandpa Jones said, we don't.
Oh my God,
don't
this
give
is
any
wild.
crap and take very little. Yeah, I'm not missing that.
These are I like the little like the little antidotes at the end. That's nice. Guys, if you're just tuning in, this is track 3 off of Gideon's newest album, More Power, More Pain. Links in the description. Go pick it up if you have the opportunity to. They also released a second vinyl variant. It's purple with holographic details in it, which I think is awesome. I'm really stoked to get my pink variant. Not for me to shill about my vinyls. You already know how much I love talking about those, but I'll save you the moment from not talking about that. But getting back to the song itself, this one was interesting. There was some moments, I think, again, very similarly to Take Off. This has a pretty strong sort of new metal influence to it as well. I really kind of like that, like, sub bass sort of vibe going on within the song. It really adds this, like, just wall of punch to the song. In terms of the actual instrumentation, when you get into the actual song itself and, having more of the guitars, the bass, the vocals, the drums, stuff like that, I do appreciate kind of the level of detail when it comes down to the arrangement of the song. I think it's very energetic, it's very fun, and then there's moments of really, like, interesting reprieve within the song, and then they'll just drop you on your head. Like, there's moments within the song that, like, there's this, like, punk beat that goes in, especially within that first portion of the song, and then the chorus has this real kind of, like, almost open space to it. I did like that with their drummer. I like that he kind of switched up the drumming in that sort of latter half of the song. I think he does more of kind of a cymbal ride at the end, as opposed to maybe like the just like, hi-hat and snare, which I really do think is awesome. As well as that, I think Dan has just sounded so beefy in these songs, and it's really cool to hear just his tonality just absolutely reigns supreme in some of these songs. But yeah, I would also say as well too, I'm almost positive, I think I'm like 95% sure that Will Putney did the production, the mix and master of this album. I'm almost positive. I'll have to double check just to confirm, but it just sounds so meaty. Like, I it's hard for me to kind of put into words how, like, stupidly heavy some of these songs are, but I absolutely just think that, again, these songs just sound super massive, and I think the fact that it's just mostly one guitar for the most part, bass and drums and just vocals, like, there's nothing really to get in the way of, like, the aggressiveness. I'm pretty sure Gideon and, like, Kublai Khan have toured together, but I'd love to see them tour together again. I think that would be really sick, especially with Kublai Khan's previous EP. Really enjoyed that, and as well as this newest Gideon album. I think that's they both have new stuff, like newish stuff out, so it'd be really cool if they toured together again. I imagine it's probably, I don't know, maybe it might be in the works. I would love to see that. I think that would be great. But anyway, getting back to the song itself, yeah, just overall, just really stupid. I think the best way that I can summarize Gideon for people who aren't familiar with them is just like, they are quintessentially my gym band. Like, they are a band that if I just need that little extra, like, energy, that little extra push, I just put this band on, and I just feel like I can take on the world, like, there's just something about their music that just, like, super heavy and aggressive that, like, it almost takes this sort of, like, animalistic sort of instinct in your brain to just be like, time to go, like, Oonga Boonga mode on these, like, weights or whatever. So I gotta give them a lot of kudos, because I feel like a lot of my gym sessions recently have been fantastic, and I can't say it without a doubt it has a lot to do with just, like, my gym playlist. So been really enjoying that, and just listening to the new albums that just get me pumped up, and I feel like, again, very excited to throw this one on in the gym. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot more gains out of this one, so pretty hyped about that. But in regards to the actual song, enjoyed it a lot. I think it's fun, super heavy, and what I've come to expect from Gideon now. So definitely really sick. We're going to move it on to track 3, or not track 3 because we are on track 3. Track 4, Too Much Is Never Enough, and you already know I did a reaction to this song, but we are going to listen to it again. So very excited to give it yet another spin.
'Cause I'm done, so done living like this, holding my tongue, clutching my fist, my God. Listen to me, that shit was earned the hard way. Blood, sweat, and misery. Hell-bent, unproven and wrong. Into the flames. This is where I belong. 'Cause I've been swallowing fire, setting myself ablaze. As the flames get higher and higher, I will accelerate. Keep up, or get left in the cloud of dust. Keep up, don't slow down now. Too much is never enough. I came for what's mine, yeah, I'm in it for blood. About to reopen the cut. You bitches tried to drag my name through the mud. It's time that I remind you where the fuck I come from. South of heaven, north of hell, where the river runs deep and the blood gets spilled. Where dreams are born but die too young. At the bottom of the barrel, or the barrel of a gun.
Oh, love this breakdown.
So bring it.
Oh. Guys, that was Too Much Is Never Enough. This one is the fourth song off of the much anticipated, at least for me, Gideon record, More Power, More Pain. Some thoughts about this, because I feel like this song, More Power, More Pain, and Takeoff, I've listened to a lot. Just because they've been the singles, and I kind of want to make sure I am doing the due diligence that I normally do with these albums, and really listening to a lot of the singles and how they kind of line up with the album. I do feel like a lot of the songs themselves, I do feel like they I feel like when you listen to Gideon, you know what you're getting into, I would say for the most part. There are some songs that have surprised me. Like Takeoff, I think, is a little bit more of a surprise, a little bit more out there. I would also say Locked Out of Heaven being on the album. I think those songs seem the most interesting. Same with Push It Back. A lot of the singles are just like really good, heavy songs, and there are some moments where they're like, they're Gideon songs like 100%, but there is something a little bit different about each one. While I feel like the singles that they released, I think, are kind of the more safer songs that they have chosen from the album. Like, there's something about it that, while again the songs are really well put together, they do have this sort of just like cut and dry approach to what they do. Like, especially with like, Too Much Is Never Enough is such a fantastic song, like rhythmically. I think some of the drumming parts within the song were just really well executed, and like, while some of the parts may not seem like more technical, I never really expect that sort of level of technicality from Gideon. Not that I don't think that they have some technical aspects to their music. I just feel like what you're getting into when you listen to Gideon, and I think that's pretty cut and dry to what they do. Also, sorry, microphone. But I feel like with this one, this really shifted up the sort of structural aspects of the song to make it more interesting, more fun, and I think it makes it more engaging, because it's a song that I feel like with the rhythmic patterns, you might not expect some of the parts within the song. Obviously, if you listen to it more than 10 times, then you're kind of gonna get an idea of where all the parts start and stop within the song. But I will say, on those first couple listens to this album, and these songs, the next three more specifically, like, I feel like I have more of a thought process on these songs and how well they stack up to some of the other songs in the album, but it's just a unique way of making this one stand out from some of the rest of the ones. And while they might not be overly flashy or more technical, I think the fact that they just make it more interesting, with each sort of rhythmic pattern, making the guitars interesting, making the drums interesting, making the bass lines more out there, more punchy. I do appreciate that, because I think, again, it makes for the whole product to be just more fun and more engaging. So really enjoyed this one a lot, as if I feel like most people could tell. Out of the 3 singles, I would say this one, either that or the title track, More Power, More Pain, I would say those 2 are my favorites. Takeoff, was definitely a solid song, but didn't really vibe out with me as much, and maybe that's just because I didn't listen to Takeoff as much as I listened to Too Much Is Never Enough and More Power, More Pain. But I still think it's a fun track, and I think if you liked Out of Control, which was their previous album, then there's definitely a lot of correlation that you're going to find within that song that you'll enjoy. But nonetheless, we are going to move on to the title track, track number 5. This one is More Power, More Pain. You already know, already stoked for this one, so let's get into it.
Do you know what changed you?
Suck it up! Rise a bitch way down in the gutter, deep in the mud, seeking further every day, taking it and back for another. Turn and walk away, you motherfucker. Do you feel the power? Pull you through the pain, from strength to strength, no cowards. Weakness, devoured. Do you feel the power? No sacrifice in vain, it's the price you pay. More power, more pain. Tear down, rebuild, anything to make me feel reborn, hold still, stand tall with the back against the wall. Stand tall with the back against the wall. Tear down, rebuild, anything to make me feel reborn, built for destruction. Do you feel the power? Pull you through the pain, from strength to strength, no cowards. Weakness, devoured. Do you feel the power? No sacrifice in vain, it's the price you pay. More pain.
Oh yeah, baby, let's go.
Take it from me. Rise a bitch way down in the gutter.
I love that ending, man. I'll tell you what. Ugh.
When you just get away from everything, it clears your mind.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And start popping into
I'm a
it.
firm believer in that.
All right, guys. That was track number 5, More Power, More Pain, the title track of a seminal album from Gideon, out now. Links in the description. But, this one, I gotta say too, like, I think kind of reliving some of these songs a little bit more, especially since there was just a time I would just listening to both of these two singles a ton. I don't want to say that I got burnt out from them. It's just like you just listen to this song a ton and you get really into them, and then you kind of just are like, oh, there's new music, I should listen to that. And then you kind of put these on the back burner a little bit. And I will say with Too Much Is Never Enough, very similarly to More Power, More Pain, I feel like these are both songs that I kind of did put on the back burner a little bit, and getting able to like relive them again in that sort of way is always a really fun experience. But man, that breakdown hits. I'll tell you what, I think that when I first reacted to it, I was just like, man, this is just so brutal. And I was like, it may lose its aura, you know, like just hearing a breakdown multiple times, you're like, ah, man, like, is there going to be a point where I'm not going to like it anymore, or it's just going to seem played out? But every time this breakdown comes in, man, I'll tell you what, I still enjoy it now. And I probably have listened to this song, man, I don't know, probably close to like 50 times, maybe a little bit more, depending upon, you know, how often I threw this on in the gym. But I just think that this one is one of the better of the 3 singles. I think to me personally, like Too Much Is Never Enough and More Power, More Pain were the 2 that I enjoyed more so over than Take Off. I just don't think that it really struck me as much. But then again, like I said previously, I had already a lot of love for both of these songs because I listened to them an absolute ton. I will also say too, like the drumming on this song is cool. Very similarly to Too Much Is Never Enough, I love the bell ride. I think that's not utilized enough within that sort of metal style of music, so it's nice to hear that. I also say that, like, again, just the breakdowns on this track are just ruthless. Especially when that down, like, I guess it's like down tuned and dropped. But man, that just like absolutely just nukes the song, and I think that's awesome. Love it. It definitely feels like one of those like pivotal moments within the album that just like strikes super well. So absolutely love this song a lot, and I think that as I've gone through and listened to this album now, it gives me more appreciation for it, and you know where its placement is in the album itself. So definitely enjoyed this one. Fun song, and just like, again, stupidly heavy. So we're gonna move it on to track 6, which is Take Off. This is the 3rd single that was released, and we'll give this bad boy a listen as well. Also, this hat is so hot. We're going without the hat for the rest of it.
I just wanna feel what I feel when I feel it. I just wanna feel what I feel.
Oh, that bass slide? Yeah, let's go.
Don't need your permission, already got your attention shifted. Grip the wheel, rip off the rear view. Burn the line. Pedal to the metal. I just wanna take off. Pedal to the metal. I'm alive. Really get me by looking for a way to fly. Just wanna die.
All right, guys, that was track 6. That one is Take Off. As I mentioned with, I feel like with Push It Back, this one has a very strong sort of new metal influence. Feels very reminiscent of bands like Korn, a little bit of Limp Bizkit, you know, that sort of vibe. Definitely an interesting track. I will say, upon first listen, when I was listening to it with Elijah, I will say I didn't really grow up with new metal, so I feel like for me this is like, I like get the references musically, but it doesn't really quite hit me as much. I was having a good time just vibing out. I feel like now I can appreciate new metal and what they have achieved, you know, musically. I know that's kind of like a divisive thing in and of itself, but, you know, I digress. But I really enjoyed the sort of fun aspects of this song, like the DJ scratching, as well as just like, again, this really kind of almost like yell sort of scream going on that Dan's doing. Really like that. As well as that too, like the riffs are just fun. Like there's something about it that just like brings out like the happy energy within this song. Like to me, it's just like, this is just a vibe, like a fun like vibe track, but like in the most like hardcore of ways, you know. Like I'm not really a hardcore kid per se, but it just seems like, you know, the song that like if they play this live, which I imagine they do, it just has that like sort of like two-step energy to it that, you know, you just know and love when you associate those sorts of things with like hardcore music and such. But yeah, I like the kind of crossover appeal that this song brings. Again, borrowing some influence from the new metal vibes that I know Gideon loves. But this one seems, I feel like Push It Back is like a less new metal focused track compared to Take It Off. Like Take It Off is just like the very like tail end of that and of spectrum of just being more, again, more in that sort of new metal territory. But yeah, really enjoy this one. Fun track, super heavy. I love the way that they ended it with that like DJ scratching, and just, you know, it just, the way that all these songs are kind of crafted together have been really interesting to listen to. But I just really kind of have just been having a good time with it. It's just like a fun, heavy album, and like can't expect anything less from it. Is it groundbreaking work? Not really, but you know, it's a fun album, and I think that they're just having a good time doing it. Like from the live shows that I've seen, they just have been having a blast. Like it's good to see they're just having a good time and making music that they love. So big salutes to Gideon. Had Tyler on a long time ago to interview, and I've met Dan a handful of times, and he's just a sweetheart. They're all sweethearts, so absolutely love it. But yeah, Take Off, rad track. Definitely one that I think grew on me a lot from when I listened to it with Elijah, and then just listening to it now, it's just like, man, this is just a fucking fun song. Like, so I really vibe with this one, and definitely, I know I was shitting on it earlier, but they all have their place within this album, and I think this one is a unique song that I'm glad they used as a single, because it's just different. So really do appreciate it. But we're gonna move it on to the next one, which is track 7. This one is Damned If I Do, Damned If I Don't, and this one is halfway through the album. So thank you for joining me if you are watching this. Much love. But yeah, Damned If I Do, Damned If I can say this. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. So let's get into this one.
Cut me down! Level with the dirt!
Oh, this is so sludgy.
I guess it's my turn. I'll be just fine. Living on the outside. Damned if I do. Damned if I don't. Step back. I'll reap what I sow. Death has
Oh my god.
Next up in my trial, when it refused to let me go, I succumbed to it. I embraced it, destroying every image manufactured in your fucking mind. Who am I? I will decide! Shut me down! Level with the dirt! You can't cast me out! But you can't tell me who I am! Damned if I do! Damned if I don't! Step back, I'll reap what I sow! Death has never felt so close, but I felt opening this room! Come on! Cut me down! Cast me out!
Is it true that you tried to commit suicide once?
Oh, yeah. I got down and did that in Alabama. And I just said, well, and I got down in the bottom, and that's when me and this doctor got together right after that. And, he said, you've been taught to look like, act like, sing like, be like your daddy from the word go, and you've been taught all of that. And he said, and that's exactly what's going to happen. You'll be exactly like him, except you'll be dead, and maybe at 26 or 7 instead of 29. And he said, won't that be nice? You'll have him beat.
Oh my god, Jesus Christ. Oh, this is heavy. I love it. Guys, if you're just tuning in, this was track 7. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. This is the best song I've heard thus far on this album. I think this one just encapsulates the brutality that is Gideon. I think this one was just a really fun, heavy, aggressive track. You know what? I think the coolest thing about this song specifically for me was the drumming. Like, I don't know what they did, but they kind of went a little techie, you know? They must have heard that some of the songs didn't have enough, like, interesting rhythms or something going on with it. So I appreciate the attention to detail on that. But yeah, this one was just right out the gate, super heavy. I like the sort of like story, like anecdotal things at the end of the song. I think a lot of these songs have been interesting because the way that they have kind of crafted this like storyline with this like individual going through a lot of shit. Just the way that they kind of have integrated it within the album and having like some of these really, really heavy moments of like just kind of like not giving a fuck like what other people think, like, and no matter like what you do, it like could be perceived as a wrongdoing. Just fucking live your life. Like, I think that's kind of the coolest thing about what I feel like with Gideon over the years, at least from what I've seen, is just like how much they've just been able to go out and do what they want to do. Like, I know for the longest time they used to be more of a Christian sort of metalcore band, and they kind of have been staying away and straying away from that sort of stuff. But I feel like a lot of these songs have this like anger towards that, and I think that for their reasons it's certainly justified, and I can find a lot of like relatability to that because I feel like I had felt like that for a long time, and I've kind of just let it go now at this point. But I imagine that these songs in sort of a way are really therapeutic in that sort of aspect of things. Like, you write stuff because shit hurts you, so it's cool to hear that they're in a better spot and they're able to write like these really just aggressive songs to, feel that emotion. So definitely appreciate that. But yeah, this one was just a really, really, really dumb heavy track, and I'm a sucker for a good dumb heavy track, and I think I think that song was the best that Dan has sounded thus far on the album, and it's just been like, again, these have been really fun. I hope that you can have fun with me just making really dumb like drumming faces and just having a fun time, because I think a lot of these songs, again, while being not as technical as last night's live review of the Invent Anime album, like, it's just fun to have like a song that's just like, you listen to it and you're just like, man, this is really dumb, like heavy wise, but like just is just a good song to listen to, you know? It just allows you to just let out those emotions, and I feel like Damned If I Do, Damned If I Don't was just like a good just energy sort of like removal for my body. So definitely like this, and I think that one is gonna be one of my hype songs at the gym. I can feel it. So very excited about that. But we're gonna move it on to the next track 8. This one is If You Love Me, Let Me Go. And I can already tell from the like beginning portion of the song, it's just gonna be stupid. So let's get into this one. Interesting. Not really expecting that type of song from Gideon, if I'm gonna be honest.
One of the most sobering things in the world is death. That will sober you up so quick.
This is true.
Yeah, this is true. The Grim Reaper will get your attention, because it's gonna get you. Run away.
Oh, I can already tell Off the Rails is no pun intended, going to be off the rails. But guys, if you're just tuning in, this is If You Love Me, Let Me Go. This is off of the seminal album from the band Gideon. More power, more pain. Whoo! This one was, you know what? This one feels like that curveball song, you know? Like, I feel like every Gideon album has that one song you're like, you know, I don't, like, you don't expect them to write a song like this, but, you know, it actually came out really, really good. Definitely gave me a strong, like, Counterparts sort of vibe, so I'm curious if, like, Counterparts had anything to do with it. Like, in regards to, like, the influences in the song, not, like, that they wrote the song, but yeah. I think it's, like, kind of similarly, like, even in the, like, choruses, it reminded me a lot of, like, it reminded me a lot of some of the older Gideon songs, like, you know, again, I would almost say, like, the breakdown part kind of is, like, a little riff off of, like, Prodigal Son, and then, I think it's Take Me Away, I'm pretty sure, or something. Let me double check. It was the one where they did, like, the music video for it with the car, and I can't remember the hell the song name is. So bear with me for a second here. It was Bite Down, I'm pretty sure. It was Take Me. That's what the song is. Man, I can't even remember shit. I'll tell you what. Yeah, it kind of gives me that sort of Take Me sort of vibe to it, being more on this sort of melodic camp of things. But yeah, breakdowns, fantastic. The sort of, like, spatial awareness going on in this track was really nice, especially compared against Damned If I Do, Damned If I Don't. These two songs, I think, thus far are the two strongest songs that I've listened to thus far. I still think we got some really heavy heat coming on a little later on, but it's been nice to know that, like, this second half of the album is varied enough. Like, I always kind of find that with Gideon albums, every once in a while there are some songs that kind of, like, bleed together, and you're like, man, it's like this song, and then when you listen to it, you're like, oh wait, actually it's this song. There are some moments, I think, with Gideon where I find that some songs sound a little too familiar to the prior song, but I feel like thus far with this album, they've been varied enough where each song has its own sort of attention to detail, but also at the same point, they have songs that kind of, again, resonate that, like, Gideon sound. Like, if you've been with the band for a while and you've been listening to them for a long time, like, there are certain things that you listen for that you're like, man, this is a quintessential Gideon song. And I think that this one, to me, like, despite it being more melodic in nature, if I picked this song up and I listened to it and I didn't know who the band was, I was like, I would know it would be Gideon, not for the sheer fact of Dan's vocals, like, compared to Brendan's of Counterparts, but just for the sheer fact that I think, like, vocally Dan is, like, completely different vocalist, has different tonalities, and I think it just, like, while this has that sort of melodic hardcore sort of feel to it, I think they take it and go a little bit more, even more melodic, and I think that I appreciate that a lot, and it allows them to kind of show off and do different things that you wouldn't particularly expect from Gideon to do. So kudos to them, and I think they did it successfully, if you ask me. So we are going to move it on to track 9, which is Off the Rails. You listen, with a track name like that, I feel like the song is going to go off the rails. So very excited to give this one a listen. So let's jam this one. Oh yeah.
Can you see the truth behind my eyes? Something cooler from the inside. The questions it pulls me back. It's a deafening silence, piercing like a siren. It feels like I'm under attack. Panic, rage, isolation, panic, pace, hallucinations. Paranoid, paranoid. I just want to take my life back. I'm about to go off the rails, and it sounds
Oh my god, that was literally the definition of off the rails, guys. Oof. That was track number 9, Off the Rails. Man, I was right. This one was gonna be nuts, and definitely lived up to the hype. Certainly. I really kind of like the callback to "Too Much Is Never Enough." It was just like that. You know that meme that everybody posts about with like heavy music. It's just like, play the riff but slower. Like, oh, like, you know, everybody makes that joke. It's funny. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. But like, when a band actually does that, oh man, that just just hits me with the chills. I love it. You know, like, that's like the quintessential, like, okay, you know, you thought that was heavy. What if we just slowed it down and made it like dumb heavy? You know, that's, to me, that's what this song is. Like, it just so good. Very fun track, and like I said, with Too Much Is Never Enough, this is kind of in the same sort of category as that. Just a really fun, fast-paced, punk kind of hardcore, like fleshed out track, but then at the same point, like, just like back-breaking breakdowns. Like, there's just you know, like, I think Gideon is like one of the better bands to just do just a gnarly breakdown, and this one is absolutely one of my favorites off the album. You know, Too Much Is Never Enough, that breakdown is such a good one too, but like, god, Off the Rails, just like, I don't know, it just feels like Dan's like picking you up and just like breaks you over his knee. It's like kind of insane. I will also say too, like, I like this sort of different guitar work going on here. A lot of the lead lines, especially towards like the bridge portion of the song, that was really nice and just different. But yeah, this is just like a fun, again, stupid heavy track that if you're familiar with Gideon and what they do, then there's probably a pretty good chance you're going to enjoy this song as well too. So definitely a fun one. Absolutely love this one, and just was a brutal song. So we're going to move it on to track 10, The Final Nail. Listen, if this one is just like Oonga Boonga riffs, then I'm going to start breaking out the hardcore moves. Not that I wasn't already, but like, actually get up and break them out. We'll see what happens. But we are going to move it on to track 10, The Final Nail. Let's give it a listen. Okay. Oh yeah. Spitting at the beginning. Oh, riffs, baby. Let's go.
Where is your loyalty? You're just another Judas rat snake in the grass. You're gonna stand to me, my fucking enemy. Stand to me.
So good.
Broken
This is just like pure energy.
I don't know you anymore.
Oh! Give me that!
I don't know you anymore. You're dead to me. My fucking enemy.
Ooh. Let's go.
You're just another knife inside my back. Stuck in the grass. Dead to me, my fucking enemy.
Oh, I think this might be the best one. I think this might be the best one. Guys, I think this might be the best one. How many times am I going to say that? Who knows? But guys, if you're just tuning in, this is track 10, the final nail off of Gideon's new album, More Power, More Pain. Ooh. I need to give myself a moment here. I haven't, hardcore danced in my room in a little bit. So, also last night I did hardcore dance in my room a little bit, so I lied. But also I knocked over my can of seltzer water, so big salutes. Whew. All right. Well, so listen, I think this song really brings the energy. When I think about a Gideon track, I personally think of songs that just hold it down energy-wise, and this one just is relentless. Like, there are some songs in Gideon's categories where, like, I'm like, yeah, this is fun, this is riffy, this is vibey, but this song specifically, man, I'll tell you what, like, the riffs on this song, so on point. I just love how they're really just matched up with the drumming. It just makes it that much, like, more brutal, a little bit more heavier, a little bit more groovy, in the aspect of, like, okay, we're just gonna hit you with this, like, really sick, like palm muted, like, goodness, and as I harken back to earlier, like, it's just those moments where I feel like this album is a great culmination of some of the older, like, Gideon material, but, like, brought in such a new light. Like, that breakdown feels very, like, milestone, like, very, like, cost Gideon, like, early era Gideon, and I like that they're calling back to that. I don't know if it's necessarily that's the case or not, but it does feel very, like, old school, like, Gideon vibes. And I appreciate that they haven't entirely forgotten about their roots, and I think a song like this just shows that they really do care about some of the older material, even though again, maybe they don't play it as much. So this one was a fun one, probably my favorite thus far. I think it's not gonna, I feel like it's gonna be pretty difficult to pick my favorites, but I would definitely put this in my top 5 for sure. It just seems like just such a great ball of energy, and can't deny its results. I am, like, thoroughly gassed out right now. So we're gonna move it on to track 11. This is Midnight Blue. We're gonna give this one a listen. Oh, also I will say as well, I think this is probably my favorite performance of Dan on the album. I just love the way that he has those moments where he's just really hitting you with, like, the fast lyricism, almost like borderline in that sort of, like, rap category, but also at the same point, like, he hits you with some, like, really great lyrics as well too. So definitely one of the best songs on the album, 100%, no cap. Definitely love this one a lot. But let's get into track 11. This one is Midnight Blue. Ooh.
Darkness is calling.
All right.
What choice but destroy? When all becomes nothing, lacerations to the bone. My soul
cleans.
Until you fall into space, fall into time, and when you fall,
Great cleans. What's going on, Derek? Happy St. Patrick's Day.
taste the blood. Taste the blood. Bittersweet, straight from the gut. Let it run. Golden alone. Silence is gold until you're left. Golden alone. Silence is gold until you're left. Midnight
This is definitely a different song. Very curious. Clean singing was good too. I like that. Definitely a different sound. Like the little slide guitar action here too. Playing into their like southern roots, you know?
You can get yourself down pretty low. Makes you appreciate life. Makes a lot of trivial things go way down the list, you know.
All right, guys. If you're just tuning in, this was track 11, Midnight Blue. I think this one's interesting. Like this one, I don't know if I feel like I had grown to love this song as the tracks went on. This one has some influences that I feel like they haven't brought out at all. Like I know they're from the South, they're from Alabama. And this song seems like the most like influence from like outside of the genre. There's some like slide guitar parts, especially towards the end portion of this song. The like low singing reminds me a lot of like classic like country music, where like, you know, it's almost like a Johnny Cash sort of vibe in regards to that. It's just really this has been like kind of the most, at least from my perspective and knowing the band for like a little bit now, this just felt like the most like out there that they've been in terms of music, which isn't really saying, which I guess is saying a lot considering like how much their sound is so familiarized with just like that sort of hardcore sort of like punk. I don't even want to say punk, like that hardcore sort of metalcore sort of sound. And this one just is a little bit more out there. But, you know, honestly, I can't complain on the song being a little bit more out there, because I think with this album, they've utilized and shown off different sides of their band. Having songs be a little bit more like nu metal influence, having songs be a little bit more from what you typically know from Gideon, and as well as that too, like having songs that harken back to their previous sound and like previous albums. So I think if you're a newer fan of Gideon and you're not familiar with their work, then this is going to maybe seem a little bit all over the place. But if you've been with the band for quite a bit, this has different flavors or almost even kind of different eras that were influenced in Gideon doing what they do. But I feel like this Midnight Blue is them tapping into newer territories that I feel like they haven't done yet to this point. Which is really nice. So I gotta give him props for that. The clean singing was very cool as well. Nice addition, and definitely something that I personally was not expecting within a Gideon track. So nice to hear that, and definitely a surpriser. I think this one is like the black sheep of the album, certainly. just a little bit more out there, but still really rad. So we're gonna move it on to track 12. This one is "I Will Carry You." Let's give this bad boy a listen. Oh, they're going full bore on this, like, more southern slide guitar kind of work going on here. That was sick. Loving the leads. So different. Very different thus far. All right, guys. So that was track 12, "I Will Carry You." I feel like this is kind of like the very similarly to "If You Love Me, Let Me Go." I think kind of in the same sort of lane as that. If you like more of the melodic hardcore side of things, then you'll definitely like these two songs. I do feel like they're branching out and doing different things, which I appreciate. The breakdowns on this track were gnarly as per usual. I think they really know how to. They got it down to a science, you know. They know what's going on when it comes down to that. But I will say, "If You Love Me, Let Me Go," and "I Will Carry You." Like, I like that they're going more in that sort of melodic hardcore direction. Now, like I said, will every song be like that? Probably not, but for them to kind of take their stab at it, really enjoy that. I think it makes it more interesting, and I also think Tyler is a fantastic guitar player as well. You know, like, he's got some, like, again, he's got some really stupid like heavy riffs. Don't get me wrong, absolutely love those riffs, but you know, in songs like this with like I Will Carry You and If You Love Me, Let Me Go, like those show off way more of the kind of guitar skills that Tyler has. And I think that that's great. You know, it's definitely something that I like to point out, being a guitar player myself. So it's something that I gravitate a lot towards, and some of the lead parts within the song were really nice. Wow, are they like really hella technical? Not really, but I do appreciate the fact that that they're on here. You know, I think it makes for more interesting stylation going on within the track itself, and as well as that, you know, it makes those melodic moments seem a little bit more melodic, and who can complain? Really like that. So we are going to move it on to track number 13, which is Back to Basics. So curious if they're going to hit me with a throwback and just go buck wild with this track, but let's give it a listen.
Swear I've never seen so much trouble in my life.
I like that.
Oh! Around and around, lots of from town to town. Back then, it was something with a smile, with somebody breaking down. Yeah, if I'm being real, I suffered so much more. I was happier, sleeping on the floor. I know what it takes. I'm getting back to the basics now. Try not straight with gotta keep that shit moving. I'm trying to keep this shit moving. Find the strength within. Yeah, easier said than done. I gotta keep this shit moving. Keep this shit moving. Oh, goddamn! It wasn't part of my plan.
This bass is sounding so gnarly.
I feel it slipping straight through my hands. Have you ever built a house on sand? There's one thing that I can do. Back to the basics and now. Find the strength within. I gotta keep the shit moving. I'm trying to keep the shit moving. Find the strength within. Yeah, easier said than done. I gotta keep that shit moving. Keep that shit moving. I don't break. I said I don't. I don't say shit, but I make shit happen till I make it. I said I don't. Yeah, I don't break. I don't say shit, but I make shit happen till I make it. And fuck that fake shit. Find the strength within. Gotta keep this shit moving. You know I keep that shit moving. I'm sick of the path is rough and more than enough. And then I look up and I'm losing. Keep that shit moving. I don't break.
Oh.
Don't ever let one nation break you. I'll never let the pressure take me under. Give it everything. Give it everything. Or you will always wonder.
That was dumb. Oh my god. Guys, that was Back to Basics. That one was a dumb heavy one. You know, I like that, unless this Letterfly has some like really juicy riffs. This one was like one of the cooler, like, again, really heavy riffs. Loved the like bum 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 bum, and then like just like it just got such a great rhythm to it. Like I think like the chops on this band are so tight. I like the fact that the bass has more of a voice in those verses. I thought that was really nice and just a change of pace. But yeah, Dan just sounds like an absolute monster in this track, and I think it's awesome. And like I said, that slow down to the breakdown was just oof, just hit me in the soul. We love it. I love when a band does that. And like I said earlier, it's just like I know it's just a meme, but like man, they just do it to a justice. It just they know what's good. It's hard to explain, but really enjoyed this one. This one was a fantastic one, and like I mentioned before, if you're into the really dumb heavy stuff, then this is a song to listen to. So we are going to move it into the final track, track 4, Let Her Fly. This is off of Gideon's new album, More Power, More Pain. It is out now, so check the links in the description to go pick it up. But yeah, very excited to get into this last one. It's 1 minute and 36 seconds, so I'm just hoping for a full-on ass beater. That's really what I'm hoping for, so we'll see what happens.
And looking back over everything that's happened to you in your life, aren't you totally amazed at what
I'm
you've
amazed
accomplished?
at getting through all the junk, yeah. I'm amazed about that.
I imagine the best thing was knowing that you weren't crazy back then.
That's a good feeling, yeah. I think that's that's a good way of looking at it. I wasn't crazy after all.
Well, that was an interesting song. Guys, that was the final track, Let Her Fly, off of Gideon's newest album, More Power, More Pain. I don't, you know what? I kind of see where it's coming from, but I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily think this is, like, when I think of this band, I'm expecting, like, a really heavy song, so this was a little bit of a shock to me, but yeah, I think it's a nice way to round out the album. I think it takes a lot of influence from, again, this sort of new metal aspect of the album here. I'd say, like, songs like Take Off, Locked Out of Heaven, you know, having more of that sort of electronic feel to it, but, you know, keeping it real, kind of like new metal-esque in that way. Do I think it fits on the end of this album? Well, I don't know. That could be debated, but I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence about this one, but you know, overall in regards to the album, do I feel like the 3 singles really held up? Did I really feel like the singles gave a good representation to this album? And I would say they do a pretty good job of it. I think with each of the 3 singles, you know, it was good to hear kind of the different variations of what Gideon's been able to do, and I think with each of those 3 songs, you're able to kind of get a better glimpse into the album. Obviously, this is a little bit more so hindsight's 2020. I can say that now, listening to the full album, that I think they were good singles. But I also feel like they're some of the 3 strongest songs on the album as well, too. But I thought this one was good. I think it kind of, to me, it feels like this album that kind of encompasses the entirety of what Gideon does. Like, there's something about it that if you've been with the band for a while, and I know I keep referencing it a lot, but like the first couple albums, even like Cold as well, then this album is gonna have some songs for you. If you're more into their newest album, Out of Control, there are definitely songs that have more that sort of more like grungy sort of new metal vibes. I think songs like Locked Out of Heaven and Take Off do probably one of the best jobs at showing that off. You have some like dumb, stupid, heavy songs like Damned If I Do, Damned If I Don't. Also songs like The Final Nail, Off the Rails. Like those songs have that sort of, again, stupid, heavy vibes to it. There was some songs that are a little bit more out there, like I would argue, like Love Me, If You Love Me, Let Me Go, Midnight Blue, I Will Carry You. Like those songs to me are a little bit more like out there, while I Will Carry You and If You Love Me, Let Me Go are a little bit more in that sort of melodic hardcore category. I feel like Midnight Blue is like one of those really interesting songs that kind of takes a lot of influence through like their southern roots and being like influenced by country music, and as well as that kind of like incorporating those sorts of elements, slide guitar. There were some really unique parts to that song that I thought were at least stand out to me. I feel like the album is kind of stacked a little bit. I will say like the middle of the album is like real solid. I would say from track 4 to track 8, really can't go wrong with those. But some of the more outlier tracks like Locked Out of Heaven's a very interesting one, and I think that in the grand scheme of the album it kind of felt a little bit out of place, but like looking at it from like more of a bird's eye view, I think it fits well within the confines of the album. I think Push It Back, Take Off, Back to Basics have more that sort of, again, new metal influence, which is definitely something familiar to people that are newer fans of Gideon. And I just like the fan service. They had some older songs that have that sort of old school feel to it. Even like portions of songs that have like a callback to like some of the older breakdowns on a previous like first album Gideon record, or like second Gideon record. Like it's just nice to hear that sort of variation, and that again those albums are not lost on them. That was what I was kind of able to gather from it. While that was, do I think it's intentional that they did that? I have no idea, but from my perspective, it was nice to hear that kind of variation within the songs. I think some of my favorites would be, I still think Damned If I Do, Damned If I Don't is probably my favorite. Off the Rails is really good. I would say Final Nail, More Power, More Pain, and then I would say Too Much Is Never Enough, and then with an honorable mention of I would say Back to Basics. I would say that to me is another really, really, really solid track. But I will give an honorable mention to Midnight Blue. I thought that one was very interesting, and have them take a different spin on like more hardcore music with adding a little bit of country twang in there was nice. This will be the first time you'll ever hear me say that, and probably most likely the last, maybe not. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was a fun album from front to back. I do feel like this album requires more of a listen, and I probably will be getting a lot of the listens on this album while I'm at the gym. So I think that will definitely affect my ability to work out, which I'm very stoked about. But overall, I thought it was a really solid effort. I think if you didn't really like the previous album, Out of Control, I feel like you're going to really like this album a lot more. If you are an older fan and you've come from like Cold or something like that, or No One, No Love, I think that's what it's called, or no. I remember the acronym for it. It's a little late, so I apologize. But yeah, if you're coming from like more of the old school Gideon sound, then there's definitely songs that you'll like on this album. But I also feel like as well too, there are some new things that you can get into as well. If you're pretty well-rounded and you like both the new and the old Gideon, then this album is going to be well more tailored to you. There are some songs that are a little bit more in that sort of older vibe, and there's also some newer songs that are more reminiscent of Out of Control. So I think it's a good mix, and definitely we'll be curious to see where it ends up on my albums of the year. I think it is definitely worthy of being on the list, certainly, but I'll have to see where we'll be at, because there's plenty of albums coming out. Like I said, just did a review of the newest Invent Animate album, and I think that one is right now the current one to beat for me. And there are some bands that are releasing some new albums. Currents is coming out with a new album. Sleep Token's coming out with a new album. There's like a shit ton more bands that I can't think of right now, but I know there's some really awesome new music coming out. But would love to know what you guys think about More Power, More Pain in the comments below, or if you're on the live stream still. Thank you for joining me tonight. Appreciate Jared stopping by. Love you, dude. Much love. And yeah, let me know what you think about this. If you enjoyed this video, there's probably a pretty good chance you'll like some of the other content here on the channel, so make sure to come back and check out the videos if you feel so inclined to. I do plan on doing more of the fan streams, so keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to be announcing stuff for that. I have some special merch I'm going to be dropping soon too as well, so keep your eyes peeled. Got a lot of cool stuff coming, and I know that sounds like the typical band thing where they're like, big things coming, but I really do feel like this year is going to be a fantastic year, and I'm really stoked to see what's going to be coming up next. But thank you guys for joining me for the live stream. North Lane's live set will be posted tomorrow, on Saturday, today, technically, I guess, as well as Fit for a King on Sunday. So keep your eyes peeled. Also, we'll be announcing next week's interviews, so make sure to keep posted if you feel so inclined to. But thank you guys for watching. Hope to catch you in the next video. Talk to you later. Peace, guys.